Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, we're all for throwing ourselves into our work, but sometimes people take it to the next level. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm assuming you do because you're listening right now, you can subscribe. You can find us over at Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would really appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to follow us on the social media. You can find us at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if it's something on screen that we want to write about and talk about, and we love it when you come and read about it. So please stop on by. On this episode, it is yet another chapter of our series talking with the cast of Hell Hath No Fury, which is in theaters now from our friends at Well Go USA Entertainment. It is a fantastic little character war film, just about having, sort of the situations that you're in and having to do what you have to do. And of course, in a film like this, there's always a pile of gold involved, and a heroine who's basically going through the ringer, but she's got a bit more up her sleeve than maybe people think initially. And it's a fantastic performance in this film, and it's fantastic work from Nina Bergman, who does a fantastic job by playing the part of, let me just pull it up. She plays Marie. She's a French resistance fighter who falls in love with an SS man, but does she? Because, this SS guy killed her family, and she has to go to prison, and she's just surviving. And it's the end of the war, and she's their one key for not just some American soldiers, but the Nazis and the French resistance themselves to find this cache of gold that everybody wants. And it's a great film, and there's a big showdown at the end too, and Nina really throws herself into the part. She does a fantastic job with it. And we had the unique pleasure of talking with her about just sort of the unique way she got the role, and sort of the work in general. We had a little bit of technical issues at the beginning, but I think we smoothed it out okay. And it's a great talk with Nina, so I certainly hope you enjoy it, because I know that we did, and we're looking forward to seeing more from her in the future, because definitely she's going to be a voice to be reckoned with in the acting world going forward. And again, she did a fantastic performance in this film, and check out Hell Hath No Fury in theaters now. All right, well, Nina, thank you so much for being on the show today, and just congratulations on the film. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Now, I guess my first question is, walk me through how you got the part, because, it's a hell of a role, and you give a hell of a performance. And I talked to Jesse. I heard you got it in a bit of a non-traditional kind of way, but tell me the story of how sort of this story came across your desk.
Well, I auditioned for it, and it was one of those parts where I instantly, my fangs came out, and I'm like, this is my, because, as an actor, the kind of actor that I am and I want to be, it's hard to find, these complicated female empowerment kind of parts, you know what I mean? There's very few, and her story was so profound, and she was very different from me, and she kind of scared me, and I'm trying to pick projects right now that are challenging and making me grow. So I just really wanted it. It was my favorite time period. I worked with Jesse Johnson before, but they already had another actor. They had a name from, Europe, and there was really not much anything could do, because the movie was being financed with this other actress.
Right.
Yes. But, I'm the one I want something, I'm Danish, but I'm half Russian. Must be mine. So when they had a table read and she couldn't come and do the table read, I was like, "Hey, Jesse," I was like, "I'll be your apprentice. I'll be the understudy of the part, and I'll just read it for you for free. You don't have to pay me. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "No, I can't do this to you." I was like, "Don't worry about it. Don't even worry." And also, I loved the part so much. It was during the pandemic, so I thought, just to work on that character, she's so
Right.
fantastic. Like I was like, look at it as an acting exercise. Anyways, I'm always in class, always perfect. So long story short, table read. I got the script the night before. I didn't sleep all night, and I came prepared. Like I walked in as Marie, and nailed it. And everyone was like, "Well, you have her right there. Like, what's your problem?" I mean, everyone at the table read, and I was like, you know what I mean? But it was nothing anyone could do. I've given it away. And then Jesse, I think, the and and went with me. And I am very different from the character. She's a she's a victim. She is strength is very different. Um, so sometimes when directors, I think it's against you because they have a hard time imagining the character.
Yeah.
Didn't know me, and maybe I just came in as a character would have, because he knows me, maybe it was harder for him to wrap his head around it. And then, I think at the read and when we started working, he knew that, he made the right choice.
For
Um,
sure.
but
But no, I mean that I love that story. Just in terms of you basically at the last minute you won the part, and I mean that's just a fantastic story to hear. And I mean I love this film because it's such an intense character piece, and I mean your character goes to the ringer in so many different ways. Like how did you sort of come to the mindset to sort of because I mean sustaining that energy? I've got to imagine even on a shorter shoot like something like this is not something that's easy. It's hard.
yeah, I mean, I'm method all the way. I went to NYU, I went to school, and my grandfather, was a protege of Stanislavski in Russia. So when I do these kind of parts, I have to commit fully. You know what I mean? I want
Mm,
to live close to the set. We did move on a logical order. So I think powerful is research. I out the outside world on and sort of set like that, and I just study. My character went to Ravensbrück for 3 years. I read, the letters from these women, the stories. I saw the videos of these women, and I just, really try to understand what these people went through. And I would wake up. I would try to eat what she would eat in the morning. I would, you know, um, obviously they didn't work out back then, so I would do, whatever I needed to do to put myself in her shoes to the best of my ability. And I cried myself to sleep every night on that movie set, watching those videos and diaries. And I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how profound it was. We study World War II in Denmark, where I grew up. You learn about what happened, but not really. I didn't really know how bad it was, and I wanted to do do the character justice. You take on this other person's life. I wanted to really do it justice, so I did everything I could. I did everything I could to drive myself in the state of mind where she was.
and I mean, it's one of those things where I love how every character in this film, there isn't necessarily good guys or bad guys. Everyone just has to sort of be in a certain state of being, and like they have to do what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
How, like in terms of like especially the scenes in the cemetery, I think really were telling for me because obviously so much of the movie is there. It really felt like preparation on this would almost be almost equivalent to like preparing a play. You really have to sort of trust your scene partners and just because you're having such extended scenes going back and forth.
But you said it. I mean, I come from, plays is my passion. That's the world that I come from, and it felt like doing a play. It felt like we were workshopping. It felt like I was in acting class because Jesse surrounded me with these fantastic actors. Timothy V. Murphy is at the Actor Studio.
Mm.
Like really quality actors that wanted to go there with me because I'm only as good as my co-stars. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? to, it's like a give and take kind of thing. And to have these actors who were right there with me, and we all came with the intention of doing the best we could to, um, bring this story and these characters to life. So it was amazing to work with these people where all I had to do was just, I'd done my whole homework, and all I had to do was just react, which is rare. It doesn't happen very often. There's always like a lemon. There's always some actor that's like underprepared and like it's like kind of half-assing it. And there was none on this set, which was fantastic, I thought. So thanks to Jesse for casting it like that.
Well, and I loved your scenes with Daniel as well because it allowed your character to definitely have some more tender and sensitive moments as well.
Yeah, well, he killed my parents, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes. So he didn't really show the backstory, but he killed my parents, and I was sent there to infiltrate, and get information out of him. But then, did she fall in love with him? Maybe under different circumstances, there could have been soulmates. So, it was a very complicated relationship. I wished we saw more of that relationship because I found it so interesting. These women back then, it was very common to have these women date these Nazi officers and then gather information. But these women, they don't talk about it because it was such a horrific time. Then it's very hard to get information about these women. So, but they're the unsung heroes, and my character was one of them. She, had a relationship with him to gather information, and she worked for the French resistance. So it was extremely complex, but at the same time, did she really like him?
No, for sure. It lends to that sort of ambiguity and sort of the
Yeah,
question mark. It's the mystery that really sort of wraps us up. And I mean,
yeah,
I think it's that really carries throughout the whole movie, and it works so exceptionally well. And I mean, especially towards I mean, even particularly towards the end, sort of in more of the big action sequences, which
yeah.
Jesse really allowed you to feel. And I mean, as watching you, like you're really throwing yourself into it. And I mean, how were those to shoot? Because I mean, in doing my research on you, I was kind of fascinated that you're an amateur boxer, like you're a bit of
Yeah.
a fight fan. Like how was being able to sort of get physical in sort of those moments sort of add to the character?
Well, in this particular character, I started as a ballerina 4 years old, and went to the Bolshoi Theater and had that career before I started boxing. And the way I prepared for her was I would make her like in the beginning a lot more like ballet, the way she moved, classic, and then she would start. Then she was broken down after being at Ravensbrück, and then she started finding her inner strength, and that's when I would like kind of use the boxing, even though I starved myself for this character to make her more skinny and lose some weight. I think she has that inner strength as a boxer. She just doesn't have the physical strength. That's the thing with Marie. So I couldn't really use it that much in the sense of the physical strength, but I could use it in the sense of when you're in the ring and you're going your 12th round, you find this power that you kind of didn't know you had. And that's, I think, what my character did. She found her power that she didn't know she had to, get her job done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's like this skinny little girl who, is dealing with a 6'4" SS giant, officer that's eating healthy food, and I am eating, whatever they're eating back then and malnourished and didn't, you know what I mean? So it wasn't a fair match, but she still found her, you know, that extra superpower strength that she didn't really have somewhere deep inside of her.
Well,
Uh,
and I think that's it, especially in watching the film. It really felt like your character knew how to take a punch. And I mean, which is, so important. And I mean, and that was kind of the whole point of the story, just sort of the back and forth of it all. And I mean, I'm dying to know because when you're doing something like this, and I mean, especially given so many of the scenes, like you're in the wet mud, you're basically in your underwear. I mean, how uncomfortable was it just to sort of get the job done? I've got to imagine there were days where you're like, screw it, I'm going home. I'm walking in the mud. I don't care if it's the pandemic. Like, how did you personally manage to muscle through? Was it just the material or just sort of the people you were with? Or
honestly, the physical part of it was nothing. Was nothing for me. Being in a slip, completely beaten down. I mean, I was bruised up. I was cut, bruised. I mean, you named it. My back went out. I got tackled by one of the actors, and my back went out. And I mean, physically, it was a complete disaster nightmare. But the pain from the research that I have done, and the images I had floating around my head, and the, the screams that I've heard, and the visuals that I had throughout the whole set, was 10 times more painful than any punch, pinch nerve, bruise, and remember to ballerina. I'm used to dance on broken toes. I mean, Black Swan was no joke.
Well,
And
yeah,
boxing, I have a broken nose. These are fake. I have scars here. I can't hear in my right ear. So I'm pretty tough physically, and I think that's what Marie and I had in common. Like, the pain she has inside is so much greater than anything you can do to her physically.
for sure.
So that's what I was. So yeah, so everyone was like, "Oh my god!" And like my legs, I was completely bruised, scratched at the end of the movie. But a method, I used it. I mean, in the beginning of the movie, they'll bring me like a robe, to cover me up.
Right.
I'm like, and at the end of the movie, it's
3 weeks in, you're like, fuck it, I'm fine.
fuck it, like everything is showing, and everything. I mean, it was like nothing was. You know what I mean? It was there's no way, and again, if I was worried about that, obviously I wasn't in the moment. You know what I
For
mean? Because
sure.
Marie careless about anything was showing. I mean, she was fighting for her life. She was fighting for the rights of her parents. She was fighting to get that go where it belonged. You know what I mean? Do what was
Yeah.
right. She doesn't. She's been through. I mean, she should have been dead 10 times. And she's so I think yeah, and you professionals, they're so respectful. Professional from Daniel to Lewis to all of them. I mean, they were just really. Timothy is amazing. I felt safe.
Right. That's
She
fantastic.
helped.
For
Yeah.
sure. Speaking of which, I talked to Daniel yesterday. He says hello.
Well, tell him hi.
I
Yeah,
will.
I miss my partner. He was when I saw him, I was like sitting on the table read, and I saw him. I was like, oh, another stunt buff guy, stunt guy, whatever. So probably can't act, and you know what I mean. So I'm like, da da da. And then Jesse goes, why don't you go and sit next to your Von Bruckner? And I'm like, that my Von Bruckner. And I was like, ooh, I see it. I was like, thanks, Jesse. And he was terrific. He really was. He really went there. I thought I mean, he's a great actor. I was
No, for
really
sure.
like, wow, like really yeah, again, as I said, it's so rare. I mean, everyone in that set, I was like, wow. Like, I was very judgmental when I first saw Daniel. I was like, if you were like that buff and look that good, you can't know how to act.
Aren't you the pretty guy in the Matrix who just wears the glasses and doesn't do anything? But yeah, no, I understand. But he
But
gave such a
no,
great performance.
I didn't know who he was. So, but no, he was, he was a dream scene partner as if we were doing a play. I mean, he wanted to rehearse because I was like, we have to rehearse. It's like the end scene. There was a lot of physical, aspects of it's like a dance, and you have to, a lot of choreography. And I was like, in these indie movies, you don't have a lot of takes and you don't have
Right.
a lot of time. I was like, Daniel, you have to come to my room and practice the kisses.
I'm sure that sounded better in your head.
Okay. Well, let's. So I'm like, yeah, we're on the floor and on the ground, and then I reach for your hand, and then how we can. And he's like, yeah, well, just do your thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like, and he did it. Because I was like, I mean, he let me, because I was like, dude, we got to rehearse it because I don't want to spend, half an hour instead, an hour instead blocking it when we could be doing takes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of actors don't want to rehearse. A lot of actors don't want to, but he went there, and I was like, I wonder how he's going to take this one, And I was like, Jesse, can you come and be there? So it's like not completely weird for me to invite this dude to my room. We're rolling around on the floor practicing a kissing scene. I was like, oh, yeah. So it was yeah.
Well, I
There
mean,
you have it.
for this film, I mean, it really felt like for all of you, these were dream characters that you really got to
Yeah.
sort of tear into. And I've got to ask, from for you, like, what were the films and what were the characters and performances that maybe even got that probably got you into this business? Was it stuff like this?
Yeah, I mean, I was never into comedy or anything like that. I mean, the first movie I saw when I was a kid in the movie theater was Thelma and Louise. So
Right.
I just wanted to come to America. My first car was a Thunderbird. And then the performances that like changed my life. My dad is a professor at the Danish Film School. So he will make me watch like La Femme Nikita, like all the French movies with Luc Besson. He would very artistic movies, and Ingmar Bergman and all of those kind of Scandinavian movies. So I was always drawn to characters and people that would make me think. As an actor, I try to find parts that'll make me grow and they'll make me think. And as I said, like characters like this don't come around every day.
Mm.
I would say 90% of what I do, I'm very grateful and I make a living. But you know, I mean, these are dream characters. Like, Jesse and I want we want to do more of these. We have another one, well, that we want to do, and I think for me where I can I characters, I don't feel utilized. Like in Marie, I felt like I
Right.
felt utilized. Like I gave everything, and so many of the other parts. I stand there with a gun. You look cool. I try to make it as real as I can, but I leave the set and I just don't feel, I just don't feel fulfilled. You know, this character just living in her shoes, and you listen to 1930s music and you live in that world. And when we finished, I just wanted to cry. I never wanted it to end. I wish it was a play and we were doing it for 6 months. I just love that world. And I love Marie. I didn't want to leave her. She's so strong. Like, I would have given up a long time ago. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have lasted as long as she would. I wouldn't have lasted 3 years in Ravensbrück after I learned what she went through. I would have given up a long time ago. So you get to play these characters that you admire and inspire to be. And I learned so much from them. And with those kind of characters, like, I didn't want to let her go. I was like, please, Jesse, let's do a prequel with her and Von Bruckner or something. You know what I mean? Like, please, I want to go back. It's like, I can't explain it to you. It's like, that's why I do what I do. This movie, I got reminded, this is why I do what I do. Because it's fun.
Well, and I mean, I love that because I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, in Marie, as much as she was beaten down and abused, to me, she's still an action hero. She's still like, she's not someone I want to run into in a dark alley kind of thing. She really has this sort of presence. And I mean, for you going forward, is it character, or is there sort of a genre bucket list that you kind of want to cross off, or is it just come down to character for you, no matter what sort of the job might be?
I think the character is number one and the character arc, but genre is my favorite because I get to live in those times. I played Marlene Dietrich in a play for 6 months, and one of the first movies I ever did with John Malkovich, Pilots, was a 1930s movie. So that's my favorite time period, and I love anything period because then you get to, I just, I mean, who doesn't want to live in the 1930s? I just don't, because everything, the way they drink a cup of tea and the clothes and the way they talk, and it's just it's just so romantic, and I don't know, I just love everything about it. It's like I can't explain it. It's just it's so much more fun than doing today.
For
Because
sure, yeah.
you can give me a cool gun and do whatever, and I'm grateful for working. But those time period pieces, I mean, 1800s. That's the next one I want to do.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I want to be like something different. I want, like a man or something. I want to play a lesbian in those times, or I don't know. I
With a
want to.
6 shooter riding a horse. No, absolutely.
I love talent and I love period. And Jesse lets play. So many directors, their visions, and you kind of fit their vision. And I think great directors are just really shine. He let us do things. You don't hire Timothy and try to put them in a box. You hire them because they really do, and then you just kind of let them do their thing. same with me. I think he had a very different vision of Marie, but he let me do my thing. And he would like guide me, here and there. But overall, I mean, he let me do my vision of her and what I had prepared, which is rare.
How
And yeah,
important
I
is
think
it
the
to have that kind of partnership? To sort of
I think
have
that's
sort of a creative partner you can sort of bounce back and forth with.
I think, they always say, two minds are greater than one. If you just have one, unless you're like David Fincher or something, that is so a one man show. But I think most directors, the great ones, they understand, how to, especially with movies like that, you have to, because it's such a personal journey as an actor. It's such a personal the choices and stuff. So for me to try to mold myself into his vision, I wouldn't be authentic. I think, where in this one I was 100% authentic. Everything that I did came from me, and he didn't try to change me. So I think you get better performances that way. I think that's everything. You know, if he was like, I don't like the way she walks, I don't like that. I would change it and try to find her, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be as authentic, and I would have to like keep it in the back of my head, and I would have to, you know what I mean?
This feels like the kind of job that fuels you all creatively for the maybe the other jobs down the road that you have to take, where it's just okay, hit your mark, say your line, get out, you're done, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when as I said, when the movie was done, I was like crying. I didn't want it to end. Jesse and I didn't want it to end. I was just,
I
I mean,
love
I was
that this brutal movie has
grateful.
been this beautiful experience for all of you. It's such a weird dichotomy, you know?
Yeah, it was. I talked to Timothy, and we all felt it. Like, this is special. This is different. This is unlike anything. I mean, of course, when it was over, I just wanted to put on some pants and eat some normal food, kind of thing. Because you live with her, but yeah, it almost feels like you have to say goodbye to her. It almost feels like she's died or something. It's always a very
Right.
after I do a movie or after I do a tour, I sing to and I'm in a band, you fall into this hole because you live in this other world. I was in the 1930s for a while, and then and living in her shoes, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, back to the 405, and what am I gonna have for dinner? And you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of you fall into like this slight depression after a movie like that. Your life just feels very not exciting and dull.
Can you let jobs like this go, or do they just sort of become a part of you going forward?
They become a part of you. I think 100% I'm a lot more vulnerable after living in her shoes for a little bit, because I'm tough and, you know what I mean? I couldn't say that. So, yeah, I'm a lot more vulnerable with her now, I think. And I do believe, vulnerability is superpowers, right? If I always believe that if you're transparent, no one can poke holes at you. If you are what you are, people might not like it, but you are who you are, and that's the most powerful thing you can bring forth, right, in this world. So, she gave me a lot of courage to just be a little more vulnerable and not have all these shields and walls up. And I think, the more vulnerable you are, the more of a badass you are. So she really helped me understand that, you know, how badass she is. Because,
Totally.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
more like go punch and kick and shoot. And no, the badassness is her quiet inner strength. She's like the quiet one in the corner that you got to watch out for.
Well, you know what? Thank you for bringing this character to the screen, because I mean, it's not something we see every day. And it's a fantastic film that I can't wait for people to see, because I mean, literally, the four of you blew me all away. You were all so fantastic in this. And just thank you for the time. And thanks again for keep doing the good work. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk.
I will. Me too. Me too. This is fun.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.